My role at the Natural History Museum is that I'm head of conservation. And so I have a team and we look after the 80 million or so collection items that the museum owns. And we look after collections in store and on exhibition. And for Dippy, I've been involved from the very beginning in terms of judging where Dippy would go, so which of the 8 venues, and then transporting Dippy and installing Dippy. And I'm basically supervise the safe installation of Dippy at every venue, make sure that there's no issue. For the process, what we have to do is we transport a number of crates. We've got 13 crates with parts of Dippy in, and then some crates with tools and equipment and the base. And then we'll arrive at a venue, and while our technicians prepare the base that Dippy is going to stand on, we open up the crates with each of the Dippy skeleton elements and we check them over, we condition check them. And then when we're happy that the condition is fine, we take each piece out. 86 parts will go together in about 4 days. It's a bit like a very complicated 3D jigsaw puzzle. Some of Dippy is quite fragile. The plaster is over 100 years old. So we just have to be very respectful of Dippy as we put it together. When we first get a piece of Dippy out, which is the really long back legs, and we start to put them on, that takes 3 or 4 people to lift them up and put them in place. And then you can start to see how big Dippy is going to be. The tail is incredibly long. When we put the tail together, we're always amazed at how long it is. And if you look, there's a beautiful whiplash round, gives Dippy an agility. The skull I find really intriguing because the nostrils are actually placed on the top of the skull. And I learned some of that when we were first working on Dippy. So that for me is a little bit unusual. I do like the skull. You certainly learn more about the skeleton, all the areas where there might be vulnerabilities, just how beautiful some of the elements are and how they go together. So you really bond with the skeleton as you're installing it. I like near the end where we get usually a child from the region to come and install the last toe bone with me. So we have a complete Dippy, and it's really great to involve the community in that. Dippy was discovered and excavated in 1899 in a place called Sheep Creek in Wyoming on Independence Day. When Dippy was installed in 1905, we had the crowned heads of Europe. They came, the press covered the whole event. They all wanted a copy of Dippy, so they asked Andrew Carnegie. And so we have around 10 copies of Dippy around the world now, but we were the very first. Norwich Cathedral is a fantastic space. Dippy is quite large, and so to have beautiful high vaulted ceilings and the width with the arches, it was a fairly straightforward installation for us, and so we were all very happy. But just to be surrounded by this beauty, the architecture, the stained glass, a cathedral to nature in a way is what the Natural History Museum has often been described as. So it seems fitting that Dippy comes to a cathedral as the last venue for its UK tour. You've got the beautiful arches in here. It's a very organic space in some ways, and so that works well with the Dippy. I think the size of Dippy, it doesn't overwhelm the architecture in here. And every arch you walk through, you can see a different part of Dippy. So if you look and stand near the skull, you can see the beautiful organ and cathedral at the background. If you look the other way, you've got this beautiful stained glass window. And in the afternoon, the sun just comes in and you get this lovely myriad rainbow colours washing over Dippy. So far, Dippy has been visited in these venues by 1.7 million people, and we have great hopes that you will have a lovely set of visitors coming into the space, but also that all of the various events that you're putting on around Dippy, being an ambassador for nature, having people have their own natural history adventures, we're so supportive of that for the region, and we have great hopes for Norwich and for Norfolk itself in terms of that.